Coming out of high school, I knew that I wanted to have a really, stereotypical college career that meant being a student, being an athlete, possibly joining a fraternity, which I did, having a part-time job. I wanted the whole college experience. And I felt that some of the D1 programs I was talking to, they didn't get that. They said, hey, at our school, you're going to be an athlete student and not the other way around. I said, no, I want to be a student athlete. And so I looked at a lot of schools. I talked to some D1 schools. I talked to D2 schools. I talked to D3 schools. And I was really looking for the program that fit my desires and not feeling like I was obligated to go to any one division or any one program. I wanted to find the coach, the teachers, the student body that I really felt would get me where I wanted to go in life. So I'm going to take you back to 1999 when I was in high school, right? The internet was very, very primitive back then. We didn't have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We didn't have sites, running sites. We didn't have any of this. So I'm a boy really at the time. I went to high school from 98 to 2002. I was running cross country, I was running track, but coaches specifically, weren't really looking at Idaho as a hotbed of track and field. They were looking at California or Texas or Florida. So we weren't getting the looks that I would have liked to possibly get recruited to some of the bigger programs. In fact, I wasn't really recruited at all. I spoke with a few coaches. I would use the word lazy a little bit in the recruiting process. I only applied to 3 schools. I didn't take any look-sees except for Willamette University, where I ultimately ended up going. Nowadays kids ask me what was it like recruiting back then? I'm like, you pretty much only got a chance to get really recruited if you went to big meets. And that's a shame because we have 50 states and not every kid has the opportunity to go race in an Arcadia or go race, at Foot Locker Nationals or Nike Nationals. I think something like OwlEye gives these kids a chance to be more proactive, to be able to reach out to a coach or have that dialogue with a coach that they wouldn't normally be able to have because they're not at those meets. Being able to go on OwlEye and actually do a lot of that work preliminarily to be able to have those conversations before you actually invest time and money in a visit, it's just going to make sure that when you do take a visit, it's something that you actually want to invest time and energy. Whether it was social life or academics or athletics, I wanted the whole package. And I met with a couple Division I programs and they said, at our school, you can't major in biochemistry, for example. The labs will conflict with practice. That was a problem for me, so I thought maybe I need to look at some different programs, maybe some smaller D1 programs, perhaps some D3 programs. For me, I wanted to be able to select a program that was obviously going to put academics first. And so that was a big filter for me. Region geographically was important. I knew I wanted to stay on the West Coast. I was an Idaho kid, a Rocky Mountain kid, and I said, I definitely want to be west of the Rockies. So being able to kind of narrow my search by size, narrow my search by the subject matter that I wanted to study, and then narrow my search by geography. I was, using a primitive form of Google and an old encyclopedia to do this. Now of course we have apps like OwlEye that make it so much easier to narrow in on the exact kind of program that you want. I don't like to live with regrets, and I mentioned that not being proactive as a high schooler it's a regret, but I'm more just curious what life could have been like had I had a tool like OwlEye, right? If I had a way to be more proactive or make it easier for me to be proactive to attract coaches or to contact coaches, what could have happened? Given the fact that I was winning state titles, given the fact that OwlEye would have allowed more coaches to see me and me to approach more coaches, I'd be surprised if in this world of 2019, 2020 world, if I didn't get a full ride offer. It is truly about being proactive and putting yourself out there. And also showcasing what you're about. If someone had seen my lethal kick from Idaho, even though it was a slow time, they might have said, that's a lethal kick. That's a kick I want on my team. But of course, at the time, we didn't have any way to send video to coaches. Now we do. It's something I wish I'd had in high school. I mentioned that I was notoriously lazy. This would have been something that would have made my recruiting process much, much more enjoyable. In the world of business, we talk about qualified leads. And a qualified lead is a way to reach out to somebody that's already looking for what you're offering. And that's what OwlEye does, really. It takes a student athlete and connects him with a coach. And that's just wonderful, because you could be a high schooler endlessly throwing out emails and never hear back from a coach. But if you go to OwlEye, you know that there's a coach on the other side that's looking for an athlete just like you. It sets the athlete and the coach together on equal footing and connects them in a way that's really powerful. One of the beautiful things about being an American is we have so many universities. We have big universities and small universities, urban universities and liberal colleges. What you've got to find and be honest with yourself is, what do you really want out of a program? Do you want to be in a big city like New York or LA? Or do you want to be in a tiny little, college town where you're the center of attention? There's no right or wrong answer. It's really what you personally want as an athlete. One of the things I will say, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit, is I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted a small program. I wanted a program where I could maybe be kind of a bigger fish in a small pond, so they would allocate more resources to me. I wanted a rural experience because I don't love traffic. I don't love big cities. And so I was able to kind of narrow down what I want and find colleges that fit that exact profile. I'll leave you guys with just one thing. If you are a student athlete out there and you want to run in college, I promise you, 100%, there is a program out there for every single athlete that wants to run in college. It could be D1, it could be D2, it could be D3, NAIA, JUCO, you name it. There is a college out there if you want to run in college, and you don't necessarily have to go D1 to reach it to the highest levels in track and field. Take it from a guy who went to D3 and ran in 2 Olympic Games. There's a program out there for everyone.